just a reminder, on November 27th, we're going to be presenting our commercial PSA script. Just informally in class, I'll project them up on the screen and then we can talk our way through them. So you'll have a chance to talk about your PSA on that day. And so everyone is required to be here, so hopefully our atmospheric problems will clear up and we won't have smokiness which are keeping people home, and we will be here in class. So today I wanted to just take a look at the creative brief. So remember, this thing is in two parts basically. The creative concept for the commercial, or the PSA, it's a PSA, and then the actual script for the same thing that you have pitched a concept for. So the idea here is that if you were, working in your own small creative agency, like you might dare to do when you get out of our broadcasting department or something, you might be pitching ideas to nonprofits for a PSA. PSA is like a commercial that goes up for free on a television station or on the website or something like that. So it's a great way of getting your talents recognized without having to, necessarily get an official job. Although, I recommend internships for everybody, definitely. But also, if you want to get into television production or video production, PSA is short, doable, and visible, because you have a reason for doing it. So I like the PSA idea. So creative concept is where you go to your client and you say, look, this is what I think you need. You've expressed to me a certain objective that you have. You need to communicate something to some target audience. Here is my plan. So it's a one-page plan in three parts, where first you talk about the objective. Am I not on? Oh no, after all this? There we go. All right. So, all of that. Sorry, guys. All right, well, here we are. So let's start that again. Syllabus. November 27th. You are required to be here, everybody, to present their commercial PSA script, okay? The script is about a page long. It's a 2-column script. It contains video and audio instructions, and we're going to look at one in a little while, okay? So that one is on November 27th. And then we don't need to see each other until December 20th for the final exam, which you also have to be here for. The 27th will be the end of our commercial PSA assignments. After that, we have one more thing, which is writing a short webisode. So we'll be talking about screenplay format and stuff like that after the 27th. So between the 27th and the last day of class, we'll have one more assignment there. For now, we're working on this PSA script. And as I just got through saying without my microphone on, that was terrible. This assignment is in two parts, and we've been talking in the last couple of classes about the creative concept, which is the plan and the pitch for your PSA. So this is what you would show to a client to convince them that, yeah, they should work with you and create this PSA. We've been through it a fair amount, but here's an example of the creative brief. And a bunch of people have already turned this in, so I do want to take a look at that. Where did that go now in that example? Syllabus, let's just see. Well, there it is. We've got it in a preview window. Why not? So as you see, the creative brief breaks down into three parts: the objective statement, the supporting statement, the tone or brand. So the objective really talks about, okay, what's the communication objective? What do we need to communicate to the target audience? In this case, it is to, talk to potential students at City College about the many different things that go on here. So the objective is to inform a target audience of potential students. The supporting statement gives some reasons as to why this is an important objective and how we're going to do it. So this campaign is very visual, has the potential to move and inspire with powerful content. There's a definition of the target audience down here in the support. And the idea here in this first paragraph is that the City College target audience is very diverse because there are young people, there are older people, there are people with professional degrees who need to come back and do some training. There are people who are just getting started on their educational pathway. So all of those have to be addressed in this PSA, and so that's the kind of thing we want to put in the supporting statement, you know, the reasons that we're going after. And then the tone or brand, this is the most creative part, the third and last part of the creative brief, where you talk about how you're actually going to communicate your message. So, you know, here is a series of vignettes for web and TV that feature CCSF graduates in a where are they after CCSF point of view. So that's, you know, the tone or brand here that we're trying to communicate. Yours, of course, would be different depending on who your target audience and what your PSA concept is. As you can see, it's a page. There's no given format. You're just trying to describe what you want to do, why it's likely to be successful, and how you actually plan to do it for television, right? This is a television script. It's a television PSA. So that's what the three parts should contain, okay? So some folks have already turned this in because it was due, and thank you very much for getting it in on time. And we just want to take a look at this and see in our submissions folder. Chow, would you mind looking at yours? That's okay. We'll have a look, and I'm sure it's not terrible to start with. So let's see here. All right, so let's look over Chow's. And, permit me to read it out because you don't have your mic with you. Okay, so we see that Chow has written her concept statement in 3 parts, which is excellent, right? She's followed the objective, supporting, and is there a page 2? Yes, there is. Tone and brand. So she's got the 3 sections going there, which is fantastic. I would love that if everybody does that. So PSA on learning and attention issues, the objective statement. Many children with learning and attention issues have a hard time understanding their issues due to lack of information and resources. The end result, they are misunderstood by their parents, teachers, and other acquaintances. The campaign will be called Be Understood. It will help parents understand their children's struggles academically and socially, allowing children with learning and attention issues to discover their strong points, do well in school and in life. I mean, I think that's an excellent objective statement, Chow, okay? I think what's strong about it is it's pretty clear that it's a communication problem. Parents, educators, all people who are working with or loving and coming into contact with individuals with learning and attention issues need to understand better what the issues are. So that's what your campaign is all about, to help people understand, right? So this is inspired by the Ad Council campaign, and that's absolutely okay. Anybody who wants to take inspiration from that, you know, this is going to be your own PSA, but it's great that if you take inspiration from their site, you're working with an actual social issue.
I used their tagline. I should try it.
Uh-huh. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So next up, in the supporting statement, the child with learning and attention issues make new friends and does well in school. The single father is now able to see both sides between his child and himself, strengthening the bond between the father and the child, and creating an urge for the father to really want to help improve his child's learning and attention issues. So here you're talking about 2 of the more specific, cases where, kids and their friends or kids with their parents, where this issue comes up humanly. So that's cool. This campaign, Be Understood, will help children receive the help they need from their parents and teachers mentally, emotionally, academically. Be Understood campaign is visually inspiring, provides content that can be shared on social media, television, and radio. So that's pretty cool. That's, letting us know how this is going to be effective. And fantastic, you're talking, if I can get this to work, you're talking about the target audience. So the kids themselves, which makes a lot of sense. Children, teenagers, students.
That's the same thing. I don't know.
True. Adults, parents wanting to help their children improve academically, socially, and emotionally. I mean, I think you covered it there, Chow. Just with, let's say, okay, it's true that, students, and parents and educators. Why did you think it was important, by the way, that the students be in your target audience? Because I think it is, but I was just wondering, why would you want them to see this PSA?
So they know they're not alone.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So Chow said to know they're not alone. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think it's important that it's starting a conversation, and I think this lets them know that there's something to be heard. There's something to talk about. And, so target audience is really important for the supporting statement. Just to clarify, okay, who's going to actually watch this? So. And then tone or brand is sort of how are you going to achieve this? This is interesting. So this is a creative part. This is where you say, okay, in my PSA, this is what's going to happen. So the child with learning and attention issues is now in a high school graduation ceremony, giving a speech to the school, then hugging her friends happily.
Oh, wait.
What's that? What did you see? Did you see a mistake? I don't know.
I don't know if it was supposed to be a girl or a boy. It doesn't matter, I guess.
You can clarify that when you actually write the script.
Yeah.
Because one thing about the creative concept or brief, it's always more general than how it becomes specifically in the advertisement.
Now it's eventually, I don't know, the girl at the end.
Okay. The single father cries happily during his child's speech, recording the moment with a camera to show that both the father and daughter has reached their goal of dealing with learning and attention issues together. I love that. The father then takes a picture of his daughter hugging her friends happily as they finally throw their graduation caps in the air. Tagline, when you can see it from their side, you can be on their side. So that tagline actually came, okay, you borrowed it, but it's a good one, definitely. So a tagline is a great thing. Now, for some folks, your creative concept, you may not need a tagline, but rather a call to action, if you had a call to action, what might be a call to action for this campaign, for instance? A call to action is where you ask people who watch this to do something. So what would you use as a call to action? What would you like to happen after people watch your ad? What would be the best thing that could start to happen?
Like they're inspired to want to be better. So
Chow says they might be inspired to want to be better, and I'd say they might. Ron, do you have an idea, an opinion?
No, I was just...
Okay, so what I was going to say, because I just wanted to give you the opportunity, but what I was going to say is, maybe the call to action could be, start to talk about it today or something like that. So basically just start the conversation. That might be the call to action in this case. You might have much more explicit calls to action, like if you were, enroll at City College for the spring semester. Courses are already open, so that would be a call to action. It's like, go to our website at www.ccsf.edu and register now. So that's a call to action. It's just, what would you like them to do immediately after they hear the ad? That's basically it. So this could come now in the creative concept, or it can come later in the script. that the idea here is, although I'm always happy to impose content and demand, it's got to be this or that. Ultimately, a document like this is like you're trying to get someone to say, yeah, we're going to support this PSA. We might even put some money into it, or we might, at least put our reputation on it. So this is basically like promoting what you're doing to the client. The more you can come up with, the better it is, right? But I can't give you like a list of everything that should be in there. What you basically want to do is, how could I, convince the City College enrollment management team that they need this communication, that they need this television ad, and then after that, it's like, is it good enough and fun enough so it'll go on EATV or on, even Cron will show, and other local stations will show these PSAs. In fact, I do have, for your information in the modules anyway, I have exactly what Cron asks for in terms of PSAs and stuff. So just it's actually quite a lengthy document, as you can see. So this is the guide that they give out for nonprofits that are hoping to get their PSAs up on the air. So as you can see, they take it very seriously. It's part of their community service, and it used to be part of a write-up that they would have to submit to the FCC to prove that they deserve to have a license to operate in our market by demonstrating they're doing community service. So PSAs are important to these radio and television stations. We're working on a TV PSA. One day your work could be up on Cron in a PSA. For now, however, just focus in on getting that concept done. And if you've done the concept, the next thing to do is get the script going. So I know, Chow, you turned yours in, and I think it's an excellent example, and you grouped stuff very well in the presentation of the creative concept.
I was looking at the example a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, examples always help. I try to provide them when I can. Okay, and the issue you picked off of the, was the Ad Council website.
Yeah.
So if anyone's still hesitating about what could they work on, there's a whole bunch of different, issues here, stuff that obviously is important. Confronting sexual harassment, suicide prevention, lung cancer. Oh my God, there's so many important issues here. You could inspire yourself from any one of these if you like. Okay. And also the other thing I say to people, if you're not sure, do something about City College, because hey, we need all the attention we can get. So if you're on our side and thinking about something, that's great too for us. Okay, so the actual script for this is due on the 27th when we meet up again. Remember, that's our mandatory day. So let's take a look at, once you've done your concept, and this can even be done together, because by the time you start writing the tone and brand section of your concept, you're really planning for what is going to be in your PSA, visually, audibly, the structure, the script. It's coming together already in the third section of the concept. So this is just moving from that. What we're going to do is write up a 2-column script. So you have already had a 2-column script. You've written one for the VOSAT that you did. It's the same format, okay? So we're using a 3-line slug, right? And so this is the title of the PSA, the writer, and the total runtime will be a minute, right? And this is a TV ad, right? So please don't give me something for, Facebook or for, well, Facebook has video, so okay, maybe. So I take that back. Don't give me a web page or this is for television. So this is the ad that came out of the concept that we looked at, the example concept. So here's the audio. No, here's the video, here's the audio. So we fade in full, and there's a woman, student in class, and voiceover. There are many paths to take on your journey in life. At City College of San Francisco, we help young people find their path to a college education. Then we cut, and we're outside. She's walking at the City College campus. At City College, we give students the tools to chart the course that is right for them. Now she's walking on campus with a campus shirt, a CCSF shirt. We prepare our students for the journey to a 4-year degree college or university and realize their goal to earn a bachelor's degree that will chart a course to the career they aspire to. And that's said over images of the graduation ceremony, which, by the way, last spring the graduation was at Davies Symphony Hall. It's a totally awesome place. So the final shots, full screen, super, and it says, find the pathway to your future at CCSF. We'll show you the way. And basically duplicated in the voice. So there you go. I think that's a great example of the PSA that we're talking about here. Finding the pathway is sort of the theme of this. And as we see her walking through, the college environment and eventually winding up at the graduation ceremony, and we could imagine her, walking across the stage to pick up her diploma or stuff. The whole idea, I think, was to fit with the idea of finding your pathway, finding your way. So that's what I would call a visual metaphor. And this can be interesting to think about. Not every PSA has a kind of a theme which is expressed both visually and audibly, like this idea of finding your pathway. But in this case, it is expressed both visually and in words, the idea of finding your way. So it could be a visual metaphor there. So think if there's some way that in your PSA you can tie in some kind of visual idea to the way you present the material. I'll tell you one example. Over at San Francisco State, when we were doing this, one student wanted to do a PSA encouraging parents to have their kids vaccinated, because there's a lot of suspicion about vaccinations and what they can do to the health of kids, and so people are not vaccinating their kids as much as they used to, and there are some infectious diseases that are back on the rise because of it. So this student felt that they wanted to do a PSA that would communicate how important it is to get your kids vaccinated. So they split the screen into 9 parts, and they started them off. This is all just written into the script, right? They started off with 9 newborn kids, which is always really cute and endearing, right? And they isolated this one as not getting vaccinated. And all the rest of them, they kind of like transitioned the pictures. They faded one picture to another, and you see all these kids thriving. And in the middle, you had video of this kid, unvaccinated, not doing as well, getting sick, basically a several images that were described where this student was, just not faring as well while everybody else thrived. And then it turns out that statistically, 1/9 of the population that's not vaccinated doesn't do well. So it was again a way of expressing visually what the basic theme of the PSA was, which was that, get vaccinated because, there's going to be health complications down the line from not being vaccinated. So that's, again, what I call a visual metaphor because it, shows us visually somebody not doing so well and all these other kids doing well. So it kind of expresses in the pictures what's going on in the idea of the PSA. So, see what you can. Oh, Chow, I mean, on the issue that you picked up, I'm reminded that the PSAs that we looked at, it had like a father and son who were like side by side. Yeah. And a lot of times they're saying the same thing at the same time, but then all of a sudden completely diverges, and they're saying the opposite things. And that kind of is representing how easy it is for a parent to misunderstand their child with a learning or attention, issue. And so that, to me, again, that kind of split screen might be a technique that one could use, where you got parent, child right beside each other, saying the same things, looking very similar, and then all of a sudden it is not the same at all. So I think that's good. So think through that. Again, it's not absolutely necessary, but it can be fun to think about that. And it makes a stronger ad. Because TV is a visual thing. So that's what this will look like. As you can see, it's pretty short. It's a minute long. You don't have time for, I'd say really rapid editing is about 3 seconds per image. That's really rapid. It's much more likely you might have maybe maximum 10 shots in a in a PSA like this about. So, and you don't necessarily need to have, every shot described, but rather you're just saying what it is that we see. But I'm just saying, don't throw so much in there that it would never fit into a 60-second commercial. And you can have people talking to each other. It doesn't have to all be voiceover. It can also be, dialogue. It all depends on the type of approach you want to take to a promotion. But that's how it will look anyway, as a script formatted, right? This semester we're not going to do a storyboard, so let me just cut that out right away. I used to ask for a storyboard because it helps you kind of figure out how things will look, but I think as a script writing class, we should stick to scripts. And the storyboard will come I just want to make sure I remove all of this. Stick figures, yeah. I want that to be a sticking point. Okay, I think that I have just extracted everything there from there. Let's read it over. Okay. So write a 2-column script for the television PSA that you developed last week. The length of the script in terms of pages will depend on the complexity of your script. The total runtime of the PSA is 60 seconds. So what we just saw, the script was less than a page. It might go to a maximum of a page and a half if you have a lot to describe. So there's a link to an example of a 2-column script that we looked at. Notice that the description of the shots in the video column is more elaborate than in U scripts. So yeah, for instance, if you do something like this, you need to describe it better. You need to say, the screen is divided into 9 sections, and in the middle section we see a child who's not doing too well, surrounded by all the other children who are doing well. So you need to describe it probably a little bit more than use, where it was just, you know, long shot, police begin, that kind of thing. So don't hesitate to be more descriptive. That's better. The announcer's text, if you have an announcer, it could be VO in the audio column. As I said, it could also be dialogue between actors, somebody talking straight to the camera. The script of your PSA should be based on the concept that you outlined in the concept statement. So let me clarify that. Basically, you wrote up an idea for, I think we called it a creative concept. And let's just link to that there. There it is. Hopefully that'll make it clear. You may use an on-camera announcer, but please refrain from writing a celebrity into your script. So, yeah, I was just, one semester we had a whole lot of Kim Kardashian and things like that. I was kind of like, I don't think we're going to get them. I don't think they'll talk.
Must be why her of all celebrities. You got
Right,
plenty
right.
to choose from.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Yeah. Questions to ask before you hit submit. So this is like, what do we look for in a script? Does your PSA solve your client's communication problem as you define it in your concept statement? So, did you write a script which basically would fulfill the objective that you set for yourself? You know, so Chow, your objective is to promote understanding between parents and educators, adults, and children with learning and attention issues, right? So does the script actually address that? Make sure that, you know, you're doing a PSA about what you said is the problem. Does the content of your PSA relate directly to the taste or lifestyle of the specific target audience? So, Chow, your target audience was the kids and the educators. You know, in this case, the target audience was parents of young kids who, you know, so it's like basically, what is it about what you've written that will connect with them? You know? Have you made your objective explicit in the PSA by, for example, writing a call for action into the script? So as I said, at the end, you know, it might be, you know, speak to your pediatrician today about vaccinations, you know, or for, you know, Chow's idea, it would be, you know, start the conversation today. Learn, you know, understand your kids. Do you make use of television's unique abilities as a visual medium? So in other words, do you have some kind of visual concept or visual idea which can make this interesting? Could be something like this, you know, dividing the screen up, as in the other example, split screen. It could be, you know, the quality of the lighting, of the setting. It could be like a fantasy type of thing, you know. Two Game of Thrones people meet up, and you know, they talk about how important it is to be careful with sharp objects like swords and stuff. I don't know. So you could also have like just a kind of a visual style or something that you want to talk about. Keep that in mind. That's all, because TV is an incredibly powerful visual medium. So, you know, check it out. Just looking for an example here that Steph Curry is the best player, yeah, right? Yeah, this one. I love this one. Here. hearing any audio. I must have it cut out probably. There we go. It's up full. It's all the way up. Okay. Let's see. Over here. Everything seems in place. So this is a PSA for the Special Olympics. And I'm still not hearing what he said.
People look at you. They stare. They all stare. They point at you. They shout things. They make you feel different. It's fantastic.
What'd you think about that? What game is being played there with that one?
Was it soccer?
Sorry?
Was it soccer?
Oh, I meant more like what kind of, that's funny, what kind of communication game is being played with the audience there? What are they doing there to capture your interest? You want to look at it again? Just to,
Yeah.
I'm not going to run over and fix the lighting though.
People look at you. They stare. They all stare. They point at you. They shout things. They make you feel different. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Interesting.
What do you think, Ron?
Well, you can clearly see he's got like some autism going on, and it's like he's being stared at as because this is more like something more along the lines of being judged for your appearance, and then kind of taking it in, and then reaffirming it as something positive,
Yeah.
which is really challenging to do, like all by yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah. Great description. Yeah. That's what I think is going on here.
And just like taking away from like the music and making it all black and white, it just kind of it does something.
Yeah. Right. So all of all of that could go in your script or in the tone or brand statement of a concept. But absolutely, I think the reason I love this so much is, clearly we can see the difference of this individual, and we think because of the way that it is filmed, like you said, in black and white, the way it's like completely silent, like totally silent except to hear his voice, we kind of feel like this is a difference that society views negatively, and here's an individual who suffers from this. And then there's the incredible twist where he says it's fantastic, and you see him on the shoulders of his teammates and stuff celebrating, and so it's like it's a total twist. It's a twist on the expectations that we are so artfully given at the beginning of this really short thing. It's only 47 seconds. It's not even a minute, but it could easily be a minute.
I like how misleading it is, though. It just makes you think like it's gonna be another poor me PSA, but it's like, no, that's not it.
Exactly. Which makes it, by contrast, like, I don't know, almost doubly empowering, because at first you misrecognize it. Like you said, it's a poor me type of feeling, and then it turns it around, and he's on top of the world. And I just find it, so well done. And
him too, like the way he presents it. No, or the way he did, the way he says it.
Yeah, his voice also sounds so, grave and sincere and serious, and yeah. And the fact that it's in, just like you said, Ron, the fact that it's in black and white, very sober. He even kind of looks like, look around and it's not a pretty, nice location and stuff. I just love this one. I think it's so Coca-Cola as well. Amazing. I must account for at least 17 of those 45,187 views. Anyway, I'm a real fan of this commercial PSA, basically. So, but I think you nailed it, Ron. I think that's why I found it so engaging. Kind of misdirected into thinking that it is an ad about some misfortune, and it just totally turns that on its head and affirms so many good things about this person and this event. It's pretty cool. So these are all ideas, and I think eventually. Natalia has an example for us as well. Let's take a look at what she posted there. Sorry, I ignored you folks in the chat. Oh, man. This is it, right? Yes. Embrace life. Always wear your seatbelt. That sounds very PSA. So let's take a look at this one and see what Natalia says after. Phew. Gosh. What did you guys think of that?
It's his family being the seatbelt
Yeah.
instead of a seatbelt in the car.
Yeah, it's a nice message about how we hope family will be too. Absolutely. Okay. Well, thanks, Natalia, for sharing that with us. That one is very emotional. It's activating, feelings that we have about family and about safety, and I think there are lots of seatbelt type commercials or PSAs like that, but that one was interesting because it wasn't realistic. It was more just pure emotion.
It wasn't preachy either.
Right, yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Or was it friend like wear your seatbelt or else?
Yes, right. And I've seen, there's a famous one which kind of winds it backwards from, like, you see, like, body on a stretcher, and then the whole thing is backwards, like, from the person flying through the windshield to the back in the car, and then you see whatever was that distracted them. It's really horrifying. Whereas this one is just much kind of sadder. So Katerina says, I think the main difference between a commercial and PSA is that the first one is more of entertainment versus the second one is of emotions. But we're watching some very emotional PSAs today for sure.
And the one we just saw is much more impactful than the first one.
Yeah.
We already know everybody, well, I'm not sure the percentage, but most people die from car crashes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty bad. Yeah. So I guess, in terms of messaging on this one, it's just, it's kind of, maybe you could say it's reminding people that you don't just need to be safe for yourself, you also need to be safe for the people who love you. Or just, yeah. That was a good one. Thank you. I do somewhere have some additional examples that I think it's here in this PowerPoint. So I wanted to get to this next week, but just wanted to see. So well, let's get into this next class, but I'll have some more examples from you. But I used to use another textbook, which was much better than our current textbook, regarding, what we're calling tone or brand is basically like how are you going to make an effective television PSA. But it's good to have a list. That some PSAs, use humor in order to give the message. That can kind of disarm people. Shock, so something is so crazy. Suspense, so you're expecting something is going to happen, and it may not. Mini dramas, where there could be a scene where people actually talk to each other, so there's dialogue and stuff. Testimonials, where someone speaks directly to the camera, so there are some great PSAs where we really get a sense of a problem from the perspective of someone who suffers it through testimonial. And then there are graphic effects. I mean, even what we just saw, what Natalia selected for us, as that just the table is like floating in slow motion and stuff like that. That in a sense is a graphic effect, and the little girl had these butterfly wings on and stuff. So there was a kind of a bad fantasy feeling to that too. Music, the music was so powerful in Natalia's example. Sexual innuendo, which we may not find so much in a PSA, but we find it sometimes in commercials, especially commercials for personal products and stuff. So, but that was on his list. I don't think I even have an example of that.
You can definitely find on Trojan or whatever.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, that kind of thing. Example of a testimonial, just to see if this one's probably disappeared from this one. No longer active. Okay, they took down that campaign. Let's just see if we can find one. Well, you know what? It's probably better, because the reason why I don't want to launch into it today anyway is I have to check all the links, and if something's missing like this, I have to actually, find something new that we can look at of this type. But the reason why I'm giving you the list is, whoops, sorry. The reason I'm giving the list is just because it could give you some ideas of strategies that you may want to use. So again, you don't have to remember all the list, but it's kind of like you think, oh yeah, maybe I should do a testimonial, which is, creating understanding about bullying or something like, so that we hear from someone who's being, bullied, that, about the emotional harm that it does. So a testimonial. So maybe think of these as some of your options, that you might use as you go from your objectives that are in your concept to the actual script, where you make the PSA based on that concept. Ding! Do we have
5 checks for
comment?
table 17.
Sorry, what's that, Ron?
It says 5 checks for 2, table 17.
I don't know. I get these alerts, and then doesn't seem like anything is going. There's no like new chat posted. But anyhow, I think that's enough for today. It's next class I can show you some some of those examples of funny PSA, testimonial PSA, mini drama PSAs. So we can look through those and maybe give you more options. But just just a reminder that we'll definitely meet up in person on November 27th to share these in class and look them over, and just from there I will explain what our final assignment is going to look like. All right, so that's enough for today. But